Verse 75. As an object painted black is taken by the unwise to be a cock, so by the ignorant who do not know, the triple vehicle is understood in like manner. Well, I don't know why an object painted black should be mistaken for a cock, but I would suggest that this is along the lines of the rope at twilight being mistaken for a snake. Perhaps in modern terms we can talk about the Rorschach ink blot test. A person is shown a symmetrical ink blot and asked what it reminds them of, so they project something onto it. And of course what they're projecting onto it has got nothing to do with the nature of what's being projected onto it. So it's this triple vehicle is the subject then of misapprehension. So what's this triple vehicle and how is it being misunderstood? There are a couple of meanings for this. The triple vehicle sometimes refers to the three phases of Buddhist teaching, the Hinayana, the Mahayana and the Vajrayana. But that's clearly not the case here. Verse 76 spells it out in more detail. There are no Sravakas, no Pratyekabuddhas here. If, however, one recognizes the form of a Buddha, of a Sravaka, this is a transformed manifestation of the Bodhisattva, whose nature is compassion itself. So the three vehicles here are the Sravaka, the Pratyekabuddha and the Bodhisattva. The Sravaka is the listener, one who reaches enlightenment by following the teaching. A Buddha is somebody who discovers the teaching for themselves. And we've got this doctrinal distinction of the Pratyekabuddha. This is a Buddha who realizes the teaching for themselves, the truth of the teaching for themselves, and doesn't teach, or doesn't necessarily teach. Our Buddha, the one who became enlightened 2,500 years ago, was almost a Pratyekabuddha. When he realized the subtlety of the teachings, he thought, well, who's going to appreciate this? Who's going to get this? It's so subtle and so far removed from where most people are at. Why bother teaching? But it seems there were some people who would get it, and that it'd be worth making the effort. And in a way this is what makes a Buddha a Buddha. Technically a Buddha is a Buddha by nature of their enlightenment. But really a Buddha is one who manages to get out there and turn other people towards enlightenment. So doctrinally the Mahayanas are a bit down on the Sravakas and the Pratyekabuddhas. The Sravakas because they are concerned with following the teachings purely for their own enlightenment. And the Pratyekabuddhas are a bit selfish because they don't get out there and teach. So there's a little bit of sectarian friction here. It's the Mahayanas who describe the Sravakas as the Hinayana, the lesser vehicle. But in this verse they're not too bothered about such distinctions, because both the Sravaka and the Pratyekabuddha and the Buddha himself are all transformed manifestations of the Bodhisattva, whose nature is compassion itself. So really what this verse is saying, we don't need to be too bothered about these doctrinal distinctions. Because what is important is the way of the Bodhisattva, and this is the enlightenment practitioner, whose nature is compassion itself. And we like this, don't we? We like compassion. But this compassion isn't anything sentimental, simply because the Bodhisattva is not operating in accordance with any understanding of self and other. And this doesn't mean that the Bodhisattva is altruistic either, although the Bodhisattva could be perceived in that way. The Bodhisattva is simply getting on with what needs to be done, and by dint of the fact that the Bodhisattva is not operating in accordance with any ego, then they could be described as compassionate par excellence. So compassion is not any kind of active sentiment. We must be quite clear in applying this word, which has got so many sentimental hues and tinges, romantic hues and tinges even. Compassion means operating not only selflessly, in the sense of the individual, but also selflessly with respect to the self of others. The Bodhisattva is not replacing his own concerns with the concerns of others. The Bodhisattva does not think in terms of self and others, because neither have any substance. This is the essence of compassion.